Hello and welcome everybody, and thank you for joining me again. My name is Wilkie, and I haven't been around on YouTube for almost an entire month. So there's a little bit of explaining I gotta do, or rather I want to do, especially in regards since I more or less mentioned all of this in one of the streams that I did last week. So, the TLDR is, yes, I am no longer pursuing Lost Ark as a main type of game that drives my content forward, despite it pretty much being the only reason my channel is even that big, and I even have a following in that regard. But for those of you who are looking for more insights, I will dabble on it a little bit. For those of you who are just interested in why I'm no longer making videos or where have I been, yeah, pretty much I don't really have the time to commit myself to the game in the same way that I would want to. And before anybody goes asking, yes, but you could play at your own pace. Yes, I could play at my own pace, but Lost Ark is not exactly the game it used to be quite a while ago. With more Legion raids coming out, more time investments will be there, plus managing your parties and everything is gonna be and increasingly difficult. It's not necessarily difficult, it will just consume more time. Time is something which I don't really have in the same way as I used to. So, yeah, I'm not necessarily quitting because, I'm not quitting because I'm bored or I don't like it, but I don't have the time to commit as much as I would like to, and what I don't like is playing an MMORPG half-assed. Now, this is no offense for the people who do play games in a more casually way, as this is something that I have to befriend myself with as well, but when it comes to that, I prefer playing different games for that matter. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're going for. Just to trigger some people, I will not repair my gear for now. You can see I still have some silver, some golds and everything, so I didn't like go rage enchanting or rage honing or something. It's just really the time investment, and that is more or less the official thing. When it comes to different games, I already streamed some PUBG, I streamed some Noita, I even got talked into playing Warzone, which surprisingly runs better than I recall from, I think, last year or something when I started playing it, so maybe this is another option. There's plenty other games that I didn't play because I played Lost Ark and that I want to play. So I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go forward in terms of YouTube, because I don't really do these sort of let's play kind of things. But yeah, maybe, you know, maybe I will do this. Also, you can see that I changed a little bit around with the layout, so my camera is actually tilted by 90 degrees. It's actually the camera, it's not the it's not OBS. I'm changing some scenes around and stuff like that, so there might be some changes here and there coming when it comes to that. So a little bit of story time. Before I actually got into Lost Ark, I actually already said I'm no longer gonna play or pursue any MMORPG because I didn't have the time. I started after university, I started working full-time, and basically I scheduled my life a bit different. And I always said, it's like, I'm not gonna dive into another MMORPG simply because I don't have the time to. Or at least I don't have the time to commit to an MMORPG the same way that I would want to, because I would have to sacrifice friends, my real life, and other things that I basically started doing. So for me, it was never really an option to play an MMORPG again. However, I did in fact get another opportunity to play MMORPGs because, believe it or not, because of the pandemic, because I had to work from home full-time. I had shoved off quite a bit of hours every week because I didn't have to dress myself in the morning, I didn't have to wake up earlier, I didn't have to travel to work, I didn't have to travel from work, I didn't have to travel home, and it allowed me to take care of all sorts of businesses and, yeah, more or less shaved off 15 to 20 hours every week, which I could more or less freely invest into whatever other things that I wanted to do. And this led me to, I guess, the decision to start playing Lost Ark. Because back then I was streaming Shadow Arena more or less successfully, if you will, considering how small the player base was. I think I was doing reasonably well. Also, the CMs and everything were pretty helpful, and I still have the mousepad and everything. Also the t-shirt I got from Shadow Arena. But basically, MMORPGs were like off the table. But since I had the time, I was like, you know, why not give it a go on the Russia server? All I need is VPN, so I started playing there, and that is pretty much the entire story. There's not much to it. There wasn't like any sort of blooming dream or anything I had. I pretty much just had more time than I have now, and I decided to spend that time in Lost Ark, which I think was a great idea back in the days, especially in terms of content creation. My channel grew, my Twitch grew, we had a couple subathons, I had a 25-hour stream, which was really fun, and I met a lot of people from around the world. So overall, the experience was really, really great. But as time has changed and the pandemic and everything has changed, I no longer work from home. So the aforementioned free time that I had, or had been given, sort of, I no longer possess at this point. And I still work my job, and I still do IRL stuff, and I still have a different schedule. I still have some private stuff. I like playing board games with other people. I like playing pen and papers, and honestly, the biggest drawback for me was ever since I started playing Lost Ark, I almost completely stopped playing games with friends, like MOBAs, FPS games, stuff like that. So this is probably the thing that I will go back the first after closing this chapter of my life. And yeah, this is, like I said, this is really all there is to it. There's nothing super fancy. We don't really have I don't really have any super other explanations. So yeah, again, TLDR, I'm not quitting because I'm bored. I'm quitting because I don't have the time to play the game the way that I personally want to. And some people actually try to like, oh, but you can play it in a different way. Of course I can. Everybody can play the game the way they want, but just like everybody can play games the way they want, you also have to realize that there are some games that you do or do not want to play in a certain way. As in, for me, if I play games, I typically am sort of competitive, not necessarily in a PvP sense, but I try to, you know, optimize my stuff. Like, not fully, I'm not min-max or anything, but I do like optimizing my characters a little bit, streamlining my processes, and, you know, trying to stay ahead of the gear curve, or at least like at the upper end of it. Which is something I will no longer be able to do. Right now I'm still basically gear carried. I'm ready for Cockle Satan, you can probably not see. But all of these things are not really, they're not gonna last. And I don't like that idea of them not lasting. Plus, like I said, that's just not my way of handling and playing games. So for me, that is really just a conscious decision that I had to make, which is obviously gonna hurt both my Twitch and my YouTube, basically my content creation outlet, because I don't really have a main game, right? And for me, making content was always about having knowledge inside of a game, which honestly, since I haven't been playing anything else aside from Lost Ark, there's not really anything I have superior knowledge on about. So I will be going back to the den and essentially to the lab and learn about other games and maybe find a game that I'd like to dedicate myself to, but that's not linked to time investment. What I mean by that is Lost Ark isn't super difficult mechanically, if you will, aside from Legion raids, but there's a lot of time that you have to invest into. What I would rather play with the time that I have are games that are less focused on progress through time as a means of grinding, doing dailies, doing weeklies, even though I never really had a problem with dailies, by the way. I think dailies in Lost Ark are fantastic, but that's I'm probably on the fence here, and I'm probably the minority here. That aside, that's not really the issue here. But like I said, I don't have the time to, you know, just spam 3-4 hours every day in Lost Ark, and then on the weekends or other days when people are scheduling Legion raids, I don't have the time to do all that without sacrificing more stuff IRL, which is simply something I'm not ready for and I don't want to do. So yeah, the only real thing here is for me to take a step back. I might dabble on around Lost Ark. I might play a bit casually and just fill in when people need somebody for Legion raids or something. I don't really know how it's gonna go, to be fair, but for me personally, I'm looking for different games to play. As I mentioned before, we played a bit of Noita. I have a couple other games. I have Elden Ring that I want to play. I have a couple other single-player games that I want to touch on. I dabble on a bit with Warzone, and it wasn't actually so bad. Same for PUBG. And Overwatch 2 is on the fence. I might be taking a look into that. I might go back to Warcraft 3. or I'll just play survival games. And before anybody goes, yeah, but survival games are also progress oriented. Yes, they are, but these games are finite. At least for me, they're finite, right? There's a point where the grind becomes so exceedingly hard or annoying or time intensive where I basically draw the line. Of course, Ark Survival Evolved technically has a finish line when you kill the bosses. You could argue Minecraft has, you know, you can complete Minecraft technically by killing the Ender Dragon, but yeah. 7 Days to Die doesn't really have an end because there's not really a final boss or anything, but that's really just potential outlooks. I think the next couple streams are going to be about PUBG/Warzone and maybe other games as we go along. And this is all. I ramble on for almost 11 minutes. I wanted to keep this short. I do apologize for this. Like I said, I will experiment. Honestly, I will have to try out what kind of format, what kind of content I will be making in the future, and just see where it goes from there. Lastly, 2 things. First of all, thank you for everybody who's been with me for over 10 years on YouTube and over, I think, 6 years on Twitch or something. It was super fun. It still is super fun. I do want to keep creating content. Despite my low-key efforts and just making it as a part-time thing, I do like doing it. And if you want to ask anything about Lost Ark, it's not like I deleted my Lost Ark knowledge out of my brain. I'm still here to answer questions. If we're playing a different game but you have Lost Ark related questions, just come around when I stream or post a question on Discord or on YouTube, and I'll happily answer that. Aside from this, I do hope to see you guys in another stream, on another day, on another time, for another game. And yeah, I'll see you guys around.